Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Guys, sorry for the 2-hour delay. Usually I go live 10 minutes right after the game, but there was the Milan-Inter game. Obviously, the two teams that are going to be fighting it out with Napoli for the Scudetto that were playing at the same time. They just finished their game, and so it makes sense that we're having this live after watching Milan-Inter. I think most of you guys know that Milan-Inter drew the game 1-1, which means that Napoli drawing the game 1-1 means that things just remain the way that they are, which is maybe the best result that Napoli could have hoped for after our disappointing result against Verona. Now, I say disappointing result, but as Blue Line commented, he's saying it was a difficult match. At least we get 1 point out of it. There's a long way on the road, and Napoli will face the other teams and take his points, especially against direct opponents. I mean, that's the hope. That's the hope. And there's a few teams in the championship where before the championship starts, before the league, gets underway, you look at some games and you think Napoli are going to struggle with that team. Napoli are going to struggle over there. Verona is one of these teams. I mean, in 2021, we haven't beaten Verona. We faced them 3 times. We lost 3-1 away, and this is the second 1-1 draw. And historically speaking, Verona has always been a tough game for Napoli. There's actually quite a big rivalry between Napoli and Verona that I think a lot of people don't know, but it's more so to do with the cities as well. So it's not just any other random team like, let's say, Sassuolo. Verona is one of those games that the players give it 100% from the other side as well, and it's difficult. And I'm not looking forward to going to play against Verona on the way back, especially if they keep this form up. And they've got probably the most informed striker at the moment. Osimhen had a great September, and then Simeone had a great October, and he's carrying this form into November. So we're up against one of the most informed group of players, one of the most informed strikers, and a really good coach. Really a surprise of the Serie A, this Verona team. Since they switched coach, they've been fantastic and had very good results against some of the big teams as well. 1-1 draw is a good result, to be honest, says Daniel Bowen. Maximus Bible saying, so will we talk about the ref? Listen, I think the ref only conditioned the game drastically, only once, when Osimhen got taken down in the box and he didn't give a penalty. And I'll give you that. That was horrible from the referee. The rest of the game, it's not that he favored Verona or that he favored Napoli or there was some crazy moment in the game that you're thinking, what is the ref doing? It was just generally bad. Sometimes he would call a foul that wasn't there. Sometimes when there was a foul, he wouldn't call it. It was just so random and he was so bad. But as I said, not in a way that really, really, really affected the result. I still think a draw is a fair result after having seen the teams play. I don't think any other ref could have actually influenced it in a dramatic way, unless of course they give the penalty to Osimhen. But I guess in general the ref was bad. He didn't allow the teams to get into a rhythm in what would have been otherwise a very, very entertaining game. He stopped the play when it didn't need to be stopped. He didn't stop it when it did need to be stopped, and it caused a lot of frustration with the players. And even the Verona red card, the second one, it is a double. Both of them are double yellows, but it was a strange one. I mean, Mario Rui was a bit hot-tempered as well there. So it was strange that Mario Rui didn't get a yellow card as well. I mean, obviously Verona deserved the yellow card, the second yellow, and the red for that, but Mario Rui had his to do with it as well. So just bad refereeing both ways. Brian Woods is saying, Dom, can you watch Maradona Blessed Dream and do an episode by episode review of the TV show? It's on Amazon Prime. So I do have Amazon Prime. That is an idea that I had in mind. Now that we have a bit of a break, that could be something that I do. Might not be an episode by episode, but I might binge watch it and then do a review at the very end. But at the same time, I don't want to spoil it for people, so I might give it, and maybe I might give it a few more weeks. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it. I might give people some more time to catch up on that. I still have to start it, but it is an idea that I had. So thanks, Brian. Kanoham Flame saying, the draw was fully anticipated in my opinion. Happy that Anguissa and Mauro Rui didn't accumulate yellow, so let's just hope to bounce back against Inter. Yeah, so we had Mauro Rui and Anguissa both on yellow cards, that as in if either got a yellow card, they would have skipped Inter. Luckily, that didn't happen, but I do think it was a weakness that Napoli had today, the fact that Mauro Rui and Anguissa, both on the left side of the field, were scared to get a yellow card. I think that's also what contributed to Verona's goal, where we just let Babak just run undisturbed past Mauro Rui. Anguissa didn't double up. Mauro Rui didn't try too hard to bring him down. I think in looking back, it would have been better to play Demme instead of Anguissa. That way, if we really needed to make a tackle, then we would have had Demme there, who would have been okay with taking that risk of getting a yellow card. Whereas I think having that combo of Mauro Rui, Anguissa, I think it penalized us for the Verona goal, and we'll see. I think we'll analyze that obviously with the screenshots later on in the video. Let's see. T. Toleafoa is saying, Mauro Rui getting bossed by bigger opponents is just a sign to get back Gulam. Yes, we need someone oftentimes more physical than Mauro Rui. Gulam is, in theory, a more physical player, but he's also not physically fit at the moment. So Mauro Rui is the best that we have. Sport TV team are saying, excellent turn from Politano, destroyed Verona, then past Osimhen, who controlled and shoot with his left, hits of the post. That could have been wonderful team goal. That was an incredible moment in the game, and Osimhen was so unlucky not to score that. Brilliant performance, or not necessarily brilliant performance, but brilliant moment of the game by Osimhen to control the ball. It was a difficult ball to control, had two players behind him, managed to turn, shoot, and it's one of those things where if the ball went in the net and we got the game at 2-1, then it would have been a different game, and the game would have opened up. Verona would have had to open up, and then maybe Napoli could have then won it 4-1, 3-1, and we would have had, a better night. But because it was still at 1-1, then we didn't get many more chances after that. So let's go straight into the analysis, guys. Let's go straight into the goal, which happened very early on in the game, the Verona goal. And you can see here what I mean with Mauro Rui and Anguissa. I think they showed Babak too much respect. And there was a situation where it was kind of a 2 against 2. And what I would have liked it to be was more of a 2 against 1 on Babak. So I think that with Mauro Rui and Anguissa both pushing Babak towards the corner flag, then, they didn't have to make any sort of hard tackle or risky tackle. I think if Anguissa stayed attached to Mauro Rui, they could have pushed Babak wide towards the corner flag, and then he would have been back to his teammates, back to the goal. It wouldn't have been Barak, not Babak. Why am I saying Babak all the time? It's because this is so funny. I have a colleague called Babak. That's why I send him emails. Like, I've never met the guy, but I send him emails every day. So now I'm just saying Babak instead of Barak. But it is Barak. Thank you, Lorenzo Moore, for correcting me. See, it's one of those things that it's so similar. So Barak, I think we should have pushed him wide. There's a mistake on the page. It is Barak. He's actually one of my favorite players, but it's one of those things where like if you're typing the word Babak like daily on emails, then it's very difficult to change the B with the R. Whatever, it happens. So we've got Mario Rui and Barak and Anguissa there, and I think what should have happened was they should have pushed him wide to the corner flag, and then it would have been just a whatever situation. No goal would have come out of there. Instead, the other guy. Whoops. Then the other guy that's there. Well, that would have been Fabian Ruiz's, right? Instead, Barack Obama. Instead, what happens is that Anguissa decides to leave Mario Rui alone with Barack Obama, and then let's call him Obama. I like Sport TV 24 Timar's joke. We're just gonna call him Obama now. He leaves him alone with Obama, and Anguissa is miles away. And Napoli Fortnite skins. And basically, then Mario Rui, it's too easy for Obama to get past him, and that's because Mario Rui, is on a yellow, or he's one yellow card away from missing Inter, so he doesn't try it too hard, gives him too much space to turn, gives him too much respect, and then he puts in a pass towards Giovanni Simeone, who has more desire than Rahmani. So Rahmani is actually in front of Simeone, but Simeone has the desire to stick out a leg and get the ball in front of Rahmani. And to be fair, this is a very, very, very difficult goal to score, because he has to pick the right time to do this. He has to get enough contact on the ball. He has to make sure that it goes past Ospina, directing that with the outside of his foot. Is a great, great goal by Simeone. Maybe one of the best in his career. Not many people are gonna. He scored a great one last weekend against was it Juventus, where he scored from outside the box. But it's these ones that are not going to be talked about as much, but it's a very good goal. Because the difficulty level on this is insane to get the best out of Rahmani and still score like that. That's tough. Not many people can do that. Now we're exaggerating with Osama. This has got nothing to do with Barak. Anyways, Politano in this game, to be fair, I didn't like him very much. I didn't like Politano. I thought he could have been a lot better at times. Having said that, some of Napoli's best chances came through Politano, so it was a bit of a weird one. I do think he could have done more. So in this case, he pulls the ball back to Zielinski. Zielinski gives it across to Insigne, and Insigne, I think, here could have done a much better job. We know that he's capable of doing better, because the goal that he scored against Spartak Moscow, it was Legia. This goal that he scored against Legia at home a few weeks ago was a similar type of goal, where the ball's coming to him from the right-hand side of the field across, and then he's got to turn his, he's got to make a shot where he turns his body and hit the target. That one was harder, because that one was kind of on the half volley. This one was much easier, and so because we know that Insigne is able to score more difficult goals than this, then this is a bad miss, not having hit the target from Insigne. Kanoham Flame is saying Babak over Barack Obama over Osama over Osimhen, or maybe like lead on to Osimhen. We're getting so out of topic here. Right. The way they passed easily Mario Rui was so bad, embarrassing. Yeah, Mario Rui doesn't have the best player rating in today's stats. But what was it about Verona that made it extremely difficult for Napoli? They were going man on man everywhere in that midfield, in the middle of the field. Now, they went so hard, man on man, that they even had an extra guy in the middle there. So you see how everyone's got like one Verona player on him, but then they also had always that one extra player as well. Always free to pick out any, to double up on anyone, to pick up any loose ball. So the midfield was just extremely difficult for Napoli to control and to get the ball forward. But what this did mean is that we were often quite free on the sides, and some of our best chances came when we actually got the ball wide. Now, I think that Napoli should have done that a lot more, or they should have done a bit more 1-2s in terms of triangles in the middle. But instead, what sometimes we did was that we would give the ball over the top to Osimhen, and the problem is that Osimhen was not given the space. Whoops, I went so far ahead. Osimhen was not given the space to run into because Verona made sure that they weren't super tight on Osimhen. They left a large gap between Osimhen and the central defenders, so that if Napoli tried the long ball, there was no way Osimhen would gain those many meters on the Verona defense. So what had to happen a lot of times is that Osimhen, to receive the ball, he had to come and collect it in the midfield, which is not really his biggest strength. His biggest strength is being really close to the defender and then beating him on the run. Instead, we saw Osimhen come into the midfield a lot and then having to distribute the pass sideways. He did that well, and I'm not saying he didn't do that well. He did it well, but that's not his main strength. We didn't utilize the most effective weapon that we have. Let's see what else. AT saying this is becoming a meme analysis on... Yeah, it is becoming a meme on how we get from my colleague's name, who I've never met, to Barack Obama, to Osama, to Osimhen. So yeah, that's the connection between my colleague and Osimhen, or my colleague and Osama bin Laden. So yeah, interesting. Eric Sean is saying main things that went wrong was Napoli shooting was poor and ref was even worse than Napoli shooting. Yeah, the ref, as I said, he was pretty bad. I think there's only one time that he majorly contributed to the game when he didn't call the penalty on Osimhen. Other than that, he was bad because he would just break the play up when it wasn't necessary. The fouls weren't getting called, or it's just horrible refereeing. Football is life with the $9.99 donation. Thank you so much for donating to the channel. Football is life. I haven't noticed you before in the chat, so welcome if you're new. He or she is saying, can we talk about Anguissa awareness in the middle? Some of his turns and feints were class. I'm proud of this team. We showed some high potential in moments. Oh, Anguissa, the way he turns with the ball is so intelligent. The fakes that he does, he goes one way, then opens up to go the other way. So good. And we saw that actually in many times, not just today, in many games. It's one of his biggest strengths is to receive the ball. He's got really good first touch and then is able to turn it around. Today, it wasn't so useful in creating offensive situations for Napoli because Anguissa played quite far back. But there were other times in other games where Napoli were playing not so deep, and so then that was a bit more useful for Napoli. It was maybe not leading to an assist, but it was leading to the pass before the assist. But yeah, it is one of his strengths, and Napoli do need to do everything they can to buy Anguissa permanently. Osimhen didn't win anyone in the air, says Tariq BK. To be fair, there weren't that many chances in the air for Osimhen. A lot of the crosses that came his way were on the ground. So not a lot of heading opportunities for Osimhen. And then he was left alone sometimes, 1 against 2, when, other times in the game, not necessarily next to the goal. And I think at times he actually did win the ball, even though that was the case. So I don't necessarily agree with that one. Josh was saying, I feel like we're at the moment where Spalletti loses that top form that he always has in the beginning of the season. I really hope that's not the case like in his previous teams. So yeah, he does have a history of having some really good spells of form. He did it with Inter, and then they finished fourth. Inter were very close to being winter champions, and then they finished fourth. With Roma, he had 11 straight wins at one point, and then they didn't win the title. So he does have these moments of great form, and then there's a bit of a drought. I don't think Napoli's at a drought, to be honest. This is a very good Verona team. I would have been more worried if we drew against a bad team, but this is a good team, and so I don't necessarily think it's got to do with that. If we were having a bad physical state right now, then we wouldn't have won in the dying minutes against Torino. We wouldn't have come back against Legia on the weekend. So I don't know. But let's see. What else made it difficult for Napoli? Zielinski made it difficult for Napoli. He wasn't causing Verona enough headaches on who they had to mark. So there's a lot going on in this picture. So let me break it down. We've got a 3-against-4 situation at the top, okay, where Napoli are trying to get the ball out, and that is a difficult situation, 3-against-4. And then you've got Verona's number 4, who's circled. He's kind of the backup. So let's say Insigne gets past that line of 3 Verona midfielders. He has to then get past another guy. If they pass the ball to Anguissa, well, that number 4 is also there to block Anguissa from going too far forward. And it becomes a 1-against-1 situation again, right, where he's getting marked. What Napoli needed to do was they needed to bring Zielinski more into the play. So we were talking earlier about how Verona seemed to always have that extra man. So that's because Zielinski was missing in the midfield at times. So he was too far away, too far from Fabian and Anguissa, in my opinion. I think he needed to get closer. But I'm not sure if you guys had the same impression. Sport TV 2014 are saying Milan 1-1 Inter, Napoli still at the top. Yes, it was a good result. Milan 1-1 Inter. I would have preferred a draw, which happened, but as I said on Twitter, if they didn't draw, I would have actually preferred Milan winning, because I think the worst thing that could happen is Inter winning, and then it becomes a 3-horse race. Whereas I think that when it's 2, even if we're 2 points behind Milan, I feel like it's more manageable. I feel like with Inter, I mean, if Inter had won today, and then Inter, for whatever reason, maybe beat us in 2 weeks' time, then it would have really swung the whole momentum in their favor. So I'd rather go up against just one team than 2. But those are all personal preferences. There's no scientific correct answer to any of these teams. Tito Lofea is saying, this is why Mertens needs to get more minutes as a 10 or false 9 behind Osimhen. He can drop deep to collect or get into advanced positions so Osimhen doesn't get isolated. I mean, I do agree, but I also think that Zielinski should have been able to do that as well. It's just that Zielinski's been in a really bad form recently, and we were thinking that he was going to improve, but that's not been the case. And yeah, we see how Verona, even in the second half, so I'm skipping ahead. I've not talked about the Napoli goal, but we see even in the second half. So throughout the game, Verona are man marking, and they've got one player right there against all of Napoli's players, and then Zielinski and Osimhen are being both doubly marked. So, I mean, take a look at this screenshot. Like, if you were Fabian Ruiz, you wouldn't know who to pass the ball to, right? That's why we needed Unas, in my opinion, on the field much sooner, because we needed a bit of unpredictability in there. We needed a bit of craziness. We needed a spark. We needed someone that could square up, to a Verona player, dribble past him, and then all of a sudden you've got a numerical advantage. But none of the players that you see on the field here, except for maybe Politano, none of the players are able to dribble past someone. Mario Rui can't dribble past someone. Fabian can't dribble past someone. Anguissa, he doesn't dribble past someone in so far up the field. He's more someone that dribbles past someone when he receives the ball from deep, and then he can turn around by controlling it in a certain way, but not running towards a defender and then doing a step over or two, which is kind of what we needed. We needed someone to grab the ball, do a few step overs, twist some ankles, and then get a numerical advantage. We didn't quite have that, and I think that Spalletti got it horribly wrong, not putting on Unas, even more so than Mertens. Mertens would have helped with the triangulations, with the 1-2s. Petagna could have helped with more presence in the box in case we wanted to cross the ball. But I honestly felt like in the middle we were lacking something, and we needed Unas there. Unas played only 5 minutes, which is extremely disappointing. I think Spalletti messed up massively there. But let's wind it back. Let's go to Napoli's goal. This is how we scored it. This was a free kick that Napoli had. The ball was not played in very well by Insigne. We managed to win an aerial duel. The ball lands to Fabian, and then Fabian is very good to pick out Di Lorenzo, who's calling for the ball in between two Verona players, and he nutmegs the goalkeeper with a shot. And this is a very difficult shot to score because, as you can see, the ball is coming in from behind him. He's not got any time to control it. He's not got, it's a difficult shot. The angle's not great. Really, the only thing he can do here is put it between the legs of the goalkeeper, and that's what he does. So, fantastic goal by Di Lorenzo as well. Again, the commentator was saying how this goal, the goalkeeper could have done better. I don't think the commentator realizes how quick Di Lorenzo executed that. I don't think the goalkeeper had the time to react. He cannoned that ball in between the goalkeeper's legs. The reaction time would have had to be incredibly fast from the goalkeeper. There's no way he would have saved it. Lorenzo Moore is saying, can't be just me who thinks Unas needs to start a lot more, as well as Petagna or Mertens, who plays a strike partner with Victor. I agree with that. I agree. They need to find more minutes. I like Unas as a super sub as well. I like the idea of having him as a super sub. But if you're going to have him as a super sub, let him play half an hour. What's the point of bringing him on with 5 minutes to go? I never understand these last 5-minute subs. If I were coach of a team, I would never sub someone out in the last 5 minutes, unless it's to bring on a defender. But I would always give a striker at least 15 to prove himself, because you might not even get a chance in 5 minutes. So it's a bit of a wasted sub almost, especially when players like Politano, Insigne, Zielinski, even the ones that came on, Lozano, are not playing that well. Like, what are you waiting for at that point? Having said that, Politano did produce one of the nicest moments in the game with his incredible dummy. That I think this was one of the best pieces of skill of the game for sure. And broke ankles here. Got the ball down to the right on his weaker foot. He manages to pick out Osimhen, maybe a bit late, but he does so anyways. A very difficult ball to control by Osimhen. I mean, take a look at the situation that he's in. Back to goal. The ball in mid-air. 2 defenders behind him, and yet he has the skill to stop it dead, turn around, and execute with his left foot a very, very nice strike. And he is so unlucky that he hits the post here. So that was Osimhen in the first half. This is Osimhen in the second half, where he's running away with the ball. He's got his body in front, and then the Verona defender can't deal with Osimhen's strength, can't deal with Osimhen's speed, and so he decides to just dive in front of him, and somehow this is given as a foul by Osimhen. I'm sorry, but I have no idea in what universe this is not a penalty, and most importantly, how it was a foul by Osimhen, and how VAR did not ask the referee to at least take another look at this. This is the point in the game where, yes, the ref did affect the result, 100%. You know, every other time in the game, there were small fouls here and there. Let's ignore those, okay? But this one was bad. This is a bad mistake, and it's a sign of the referee that he's not good enough to officiate in Serie A. I mean, incredible mistake, and a very poor performance by the ref. But again, the other thing I want to bring up is that Napoli have had a lot of penalties in the last few games. The last game that we played in Europa League, we scored 2 penalties. In Serie A, we've got quite a few penalties. I don't know the exact number, but we've gotten quite a few, and we've even missed a few. So it's not like this team doesn't get any penalties, and I actually think that maybe we've been a bit too reliant on them. That's not to say other teams haven't either. Milan are a team that always gets penalties. Inter got 2 penalties today. They missed 1, but they got 2 penalties. So penalties are becoming a very standard way to score goals nowadays. Let's call it like that. Very standard. And we shouldn't think that, you know, it's, oh, this team and that. Like, okay, penalties exist. They're part of the game. But it's also a problem when you rely on them to win games so much. And I think that we are becoming, not just us, but in general, some teams are becoming very dependent on them. And yeah, it's very, very, very worrying. I think this is the most worrying thing if we take a look at how many penalties are being given. And I think Milan, Inter, and Napoli need to take a look in the mirror and think, are we actually playing good enough football where we would have won all those games anyways without the penalties? But, you know, it's one of those if, but, and maybe questions that we will never know the answer to. And then we had another moment in the game at the very end where Mertens hit the post on a free kick. And again, super unlucky because this is the second post that we hit. Both could have easily gone in. Both, you know, could have been moments where Napoli got the winner. But unfortunately, we were a few inches, in both cases, a few inches wide of the inside of the post. So not really that many other actions in the game. So it tells you a lot about how much the game was being played in the midfield and how difficult it was to have good football because of how aggressive Verona were. And I think the formation here that we have, and the ratings to this formation, I think describe the game quite well. We had Insigne, Zielinski, and Politano that were not able to cause too much trouble to Verona, in my opinion. Lozano came on, wasn't able to do that much. Yes, he gets some free kicks. That's fine. You know, my dad told me that I'm being too hard on Lozano. Okay, he gets free kicks. That's fine. But that's really not enough, in my opinion. Insigne didn't do enough. Zielinski was the worst player on the field, completely absent. Zielinski had 22 touches of the ball, and he played almost a full game. 22 touches is ridiculously low. Ridiculously low. But even the other midfielders, Fabian, for example, he had quite a few touches, but his passing accuracy was 81%. Fabian has had games where his passing accuracy is 96, 98, 95. Today he was 81%. So the quality was missing. And that's where I think that, right, you've not got quality on the field. Your passing's not on point. You're getting bullied by Verona. That's where I think maybe it would have been wise of Spalletti to put in an extra midfielder, such as Demme. That allows people to pass the ball more in the midfield and brings in a bit more strength to the midfield as well. And at the same time, bring on Unas so that you also have that little bit of creativity, that little bit of spark that the other guys up front were not able to give. So those were two subs that, okay, Unas, he came on, but in the last 5 minutes, but Demme didn't come on, and I think we needed that. Elmas did come on, but I don't know. It just didn't feel right, in my opinion. And it was very risky, I think, to leave Anguissa on for so long as well. I wouldn't have even started Anguissa, to be fair to you, knowing that we have Inter up next. And as I said, I think it contributed to Mario Rui getting done by Barak. Having said that, Juan Jesus had a fantastic game. Absolutely monumental game by Juan Jesus. Stepped in place of Koulibaly. I didn't feel like we missed Koulibaly at all. Juan Jesus was by far the man of the match. The way he controlled the defense, never out of position, bossed Simeone and everyone else that came his way. And yeah, it was difficult for him because, as I said, he had Mario Rui on his left, who was one yellow card away from having a suspension. So again, not super easy. And also Anguissa in front with the same. So he didn't have that much cover. Ospina had a save, which was decent early on, and then not much else. Rahmani, it's a bit tough giving him a 5.5, but I mean, the one chance, well, not the one chance, but maybe like, you know, the Verona had 2-3 chances, but the one goal that they scored was really just a half chance. With any other, you know, with Koulibaly there, it would have been a half chance. Let's be honest. Simeone wouldn't have done Koulibaly like that. But Rahmani didn't put his foot in. Simeone did. And then he got a yellow card 10 minutes later. Again, similar. He was late to the ball. So something about Rahmani today didn't convince me. Just late. Did a much better second half, that's for sure. He did have a nice block again on Barak. But I had a look and that shot was going wide anyways, so it's not really that important. So yeah, maybe a bit tough. Maybe he deserves a 6 rather than a 5.5, but yeah. Nikola Jokic is saying, was Manolas injured? Yes, Manolas is injured. Barone04 saying, Ram saved a goal too though. Look, I have a screenshot. I didn't put it, but I have a screenshot of the exact moment that Rahmani blocks the ball and from where the shot started, and you can see that the ball is coming wide. If Rahmani wasn't there, it would have missed the goal. Depending on the camera angle that we first saw it at, you weren't quite sure whether that was going to be a goal or not. But when you look at it from the back and you see Barak's position, Rahmani's position, and the ball, and where the goal is, obviously, you know that it's going wide. So, yeah. Mertens 6 because he hit the post, but didn't really do too much. And Elmas 6 because he did bring a bit of liveliness to the game, but again, not really what we needed. I think we needed more muscle in the midfield. I think what Spalletti tried to do was he tried to do a combination of a Demme/Unas player, someone who's like a midfielder but has a bit of creativity and a bit of dribble. But I think what we needed was two separate players, Demme and Unas, not just Elmas. We needed really the max of both worlds. So that's the player ratings, and Spalletti 5.5 because I think he did the subs too late, and I don't think he did the right subs. Anguissa seems so lazy today, walking around a lot and not tracking back, which is made worse when Mario Rui shows why we need a new left back who can defend, says SJ. Man, I've been saying the reason why though. Both Mario Rui and Anguissa were one yellow card away from missing Inter. So both of them today did not want to do anything that was going to potentially give them a yellow card. So we didn't get to see the Anguissa that we normally see trying to win the ball, maybe making a foul or two when it's needed. He wasn't that type of player today, but it's something that, you know, it's not because he's out of form or anything like that. It's something that he told himself, today I'm not going to try too hard defensively because I don't want to get a yellow card. And I think Spalletti, knowing that we had Inter next, I think he should have anticipated this and not played him. I think we should have played Demme. So, but it's just for today. I think he is actually underrated, and I think only Napoli fans rate him. But he is a phenomenal player otherwise. So I think it's Spalletti's fault, to be honest, that Anguissa had a bad game today. Because as we see in the next game, we've got Inter. And then to be fair, we've got Lazio next. Okay, it's not Inter, but it's still a tough game in the league. So, I mean, Anguissa against Inter, he's going to have to put in a tackle if the situation requires it. So, I almost fully expect Anguissa to miss the Lazio game. He can't possibly think he's going to go Inter and, you know... Well, I mean, I hope he doesn't get a yellow card against Inter, but... I hope he doesn't perform the way he did today against Inter, where it's almost like he decided before the game that he wasn't going to get a yellow card. I think he has to go and play against Inter naturally. If he gets a yellow card, great, whatever. He misses Lazio. But today, it really did seem like he planned on not getting a yellow, which contributed to us conceding a goal, in my opinion. So these are the next games. Not too bad apart from Inter. Number 14 and 15 are good teams, top table teams, but nothing crazy. And then we've got Atalanta, which is difficult, and the trip to Russia in November, which is always interesting. End of November going to Russia. I don't know what temperature they have. Let's have a nice Google right now and see temperature in Moscow right now. Okay, it's not too bad. It's 7 degrees Celsius. For those of you who are American, that means it's very cold, but not too cold. It's okay. But I don't know what it's going to be like in the end of November. I actually thought it was going to be colder, to be honest. Anyways, so that's the next games. Before we move on to Spalletti's press conference, these are the stats of this game. And, you know, we had a decent amount of passes, 500. Verona had also, as well, quite a lot, with 358. But there was only, this is the worrying statistic, only one shot on target. So 500 passes in a game only led to one shot on target. We had 16 shots otherwise. And it'd be interesting to know how many of those shots were straight up rebounded against Verona players, just because of the amount of players that they had in front of us. So, yeah, not ideal, but Milan and Inter drew 1-1, so it remains a 7-point gap to Inter. It remains tied on points with Milan. I am not sure why Google is saying that Milan has won their last 5 games, because that's not true. But they need to update that for Milan. In any case, we're still first. Atalanta in 4th spot is 10 points behind, and importantly, Lazio, who occupy 5th spot, is 21 points behind. So we are 11 points ahead of 5th place team. We can, I think, safely say that we're almost guaranteed a top 4 finish, Champions League finish. That's especially true if we beat Lazio in the game after Inter. If we beat Inter and this gap goes to 10 points to Inter, then I think it really is a 2-horse race between Napoli and Milan. So that's the situation right now. We've got to beat Inter. If we draw, it's not a bad result. If we lose, then that gap is cut down to 4 points. Still not horrible, but I don't feel like 4 points, then it's, then we have to consider Inter as a potential title rival, especially because in January they don't really lose out too many players for the African Cup of Nations, whereas Milan and Napoli both do. So we will have this similar sort of disadvantage. And Nikola Jovic, as he commented, is saying that Inter is playing well, and that is true. I thought Inter had a really good game today, strong physically. They ran a lot. I think they deserved to win the game in the first hour, and then when the subs started happening, I thought maybe Milan could have won the game, and they had an amazing chance at the end where they hit the post, and then the rebound, Kessie put it wide. But yeah, it's a tough team to play against, especially away from home. Going to Inter, that's not going to be easy. I don't think Fiorentina's gonna pull an upset on Milan. Dave FC is saying, is proposing that scenario. I don't see Fiorentina doing that this time around. So yeah, I think Fiorentina lost today, actually. So yeah, what did they do, Fiorentina? Oh no, they lost yesterday against Juventus. Yeah, of course, I watched the game. Right, so let's go to Spalletti's press conference, guys, and let's see what he had to say about the game. So they asked him how much fatigue played a factor in today's game, and he's saying, look, fatigue always plays a factor because, we carry fatigue from one game to the next, but we had 50% of the team which was new compared to the last game, so I wouldn't go and see that as an excuse. We had the opportunity to win the game regardless of a bit of fatigue. Regarding the ref, he said everything was more or less normal, not too much anger. It was, something that Verona did quite well, to do a few fouls in the midfield. They do that. It's one of their tactics. And, we can't really blame the fact that some decisions didn't go our way in that area of the field as the reason why we lost. And basically, we need to understand how we need to play against teams that play man v man in the midfield, and how to use then the spaces that are created around the field because of that. Daniel Bowen with the €10 donation asking me, first off, thank you so much for supporting the channel, for tuning in, for your contributions. Asking, what do you think about the kit tonight? I don't like it. In terms of aesthetics, I don't like it. I think it was a bit weird to have. I know it's Maradona, but I just think it's weird to have a face on a shirt, on a football shirt. It's Yeah, I think it would have been a very nice t-shirt, like something with, we see plenty of t-shirts where there's like a face in the center. I think it would have been a crazy t-shirt to have, like a cotton t-shirt. I would have rocked that. But on a field, it just felt weird. It just felt weird seeing so many faces on a field, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's my opinion on the aesthetics of it. I do like the thought that went behind it, which is you want to do a shirt that commemorates Maradona in the month that he died last year, and it was a Neapolitan artist. His artwork was on the t-shirt, so it connects Maradona with Neapolitans, and I understand the reasoning behind it. I just think the execution, I don't know. It was a bit strange. Maybe they could have had the something on the shirt, on the side of the shirt, like the thumbprint with Maradona's head just on like a little patch on the side, maybe, as opposed to something on their stomach. But that's just me. Jasonic Multiverse is saying, Anguissa in the center, very important too, but you're right, Koulibaly is the masterpiece. Yeah, Koulibaly is super important. SJ saying, hopefully Milan suffer when Kessie leaves for AFCON, as we will when our trio leaves. Yup. T Tolea Fo is saying, hit the like button. Yeah, guys, make sure you are smashing the like button. Thank you for reminding me to remind people to smash the like button. Dave FC is saying, if anyone needs to calm down here, it's definitely you. Oh, it's getting heated. You're the talking to Tony. You're the not to me. I'm never heated. I'm like the most calm guy ever. You're the one always coming up with these crazy opinions and unnecessary agenda against players. Oh, right, because Tony told Dave to come. Man, there's some beef happening in the chat. I want to read what happened. Let me scroll up and see what happened. Dave FC is telling Toned Ejiro, Inter can't beat Napoli. Do you know how dumb that sounds? He says, look, any team can beat any team. Venezia can beat Napoli. Napoli can beat Real Madrid. Salernitana can beat Bayern. Any team can beat any team. That's the beauty of football. So, I mean, it's so silly when fan bases or fans debate these sort of things. But yeah, guys, I mean, you guys need to chill it out in the chat, guys. I mean, I'll just ignore the rest of it and move on with Spalletti's press conference. I think everybody just wants me to do Spalletti's press conference. So they keep asking him about referees. They ask him about the penalty against Osimhen. He said the fourth official told me that they looked at it and they decided that it's not a penalty. I have to rewatch it. I trust what they tell me because they have the possibility to rewatch it. I don't want to blame the draw on that one single moment of the game. I try to evaluate the game as a whole on what the team did. So it's interesting that the fourth official told Spalletti that VAR did have a look at it and basically didn't ask the referee then to come have a look. It's always a strange one. When, yeah. I would like to know every time something gets re-seen at VAR, I would like to know what is being said in the VAR room. If you guys watch any other sport like rugby, you get to hear what the referee is saying, what he's being told. When you watch F1 and they give out a penalty to one of the cars, it says the reason for the penalty. The stewards investigate it and it says the exact reason why, that penalty's been given or not given to a driver. And you also now get to hear the radio communications between the team and the head of the stewards. So why can't they do something similar in football where you get to hear the conversation between the VAR room and the referee? It's strange. I would like to know what sort of discussion they had, because I want to learn. I want to learn how that's not a penalty for Osimhen. And I will never learn why that's not a penalty. I will never learn. Maximus is saying, y'all give out penalties to cars. Yeah, they give out like 5-second penalties, stop and go penalties. Tito Lefebvre saying, what do you know about some rugby? Very true, though. You can hear the ref and VAR. I don't watch too much rugby. I just watch the Six Nations every year. And Italy just gets like spanked every single time. It's fun to watch that, and like the Rugby World Cup. So not a huge rugby fan, not really a rugby fan at all, but occasionally. I'm like those people that just watch the World Cup, they just watch football when the World Cup's there. That's me with rugby. Why can't we have something like that? Most sports are becoming more and more transparent. Football needs to be better. They stop asking him about referees. They start asking him about, what do you think about these few months that you've had at Napoli? And Spalletti says, look, we want to win every single game. That's the instinct that we have when we start the game. We look at the opponent and we want to win. What makes the difference is, how determined you are at every game. We have, a good mentality, and we want to always win. And then at the end of the day, we will see where we are. So Spalletti, when they ask him straightforward questions, Spalletti has a way to not make his answer very straightforward. So it sounds like I'm translating it super weirdly, but this is actually what he's saying. They could ask him, how's your coffee? And he's going to go on this whole tangent and not really answer how his coffee is. That's just the way Spalletti speaks. It's not me being, weird with what I'm saying. I'm translating what Spalletti is saying. And then they ask him, wouldn't it have been better to put Demme instead of Zielinski? Which is what I thought he should have done. And he said, maybe. But then who would have been the number 10? I had to do something, and we won 10 games playing like this. It would have been a bit of a risky move to change it up. And that's where I don't agree with him. I think, you've won 10 games like this. That means teams are now able to study how you're winning. They know what you're going to do. This is exactly the time to maybe go to a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 or something else and change it up and say, and give Verona a headache on, oh my God, what are they doing? How do we defend this? As I said before in my analysis, I don't think we gave Verona enough headaches today. I think Verona came out with a plan, and they knew exactly what they had to do. From the first minute until the 90th, they had the solution to everything that Napoli had. Everything we tried, Verona knew how to handle it. And that's where I think, the number 10 is not working. Zielinski is not in form. Mertens is not in form. Elmas is not really a number 10. We don't really know yet what Elmas is. He's a good player. We just don't know what he is yet. So, because Zielinski and Mertens are not in form, and because you don't want to play Unas down the middle, which is strange because you played Unas down the middle in preseason and he had a fantastic game against Bayern Munich, playing down the middle in preseason. So you don't want to play these three guys there. Then, change formation. Don't insist with Zielinski for 90 minutes. Blue Line is saying Demme can play as a 10, actually. Dude, I know his first name is Diego, but I don't know. I don't know if Demme can play as a number 10. He likes to go forward. He likes to, get into the box sometimes, make those runs in the box, but he's not really a number 10. He's not really a playmaker. Unas, on the other hand, can play as a number 10, and I've seen him play as a number 10. Spalletti has put him there in preseason and was amazing. And yeah, it's very strange why Unas didn't get more minutes, especially after his amazing goal in the Europa League a few days ago. So yeah, not too impressed with Spalletti, to be honest, today. But tis the way the game went. Overall, not the worst result, considering it is Verona. It was against Simeone. It was without Koulibaly. Milan and Inter didn't gain any points on us, and really those are our only rivals. We don't have to worry about Juventus and Atalanta and all these things. Overall, guys, it's a weekend that we could have extended the lead at the top. We didn't, but it's not the worst outcome. We're still first. We are still the best team in Italy to this day, 12 games in, and that's a lot of games. That is very, very, very close to 1/3 of the season. So with one more game, that's 13. 13 times 3 is 39. There's 38 games in the season. So after the Inter game, we would have completed more than 1/3 of the season. And to be in contention for first place, or potentially actually in first place, come the end of that, that's incredible from Napoli. So we have to be happy, even though it was a 1-1 draw today. Brian Wood is saying, I would love to see Di Lorenzo move to right mid later in his career. We need another left back and right back sooner than later, even if it's the one player that can play both. I do agree with you. But, it's so interesting. The right back and left back positions are the two positions in world football now that are the most interesting to me to study. You have to, take a look at Trent Alexander-Arnold, take a look at Joao Cancelo. These are guys that are, right backs, and they are performing at the highest level, and they're getting crazy assists and goals statistics. And if you take a look at their average position on the field, it is not where a traditional right back is. It's not the same position where, Maicon used to play, Cafu, Dani Alves. They've changed the way they play. Now, right backs and left backs are moving centrally. They are becoming an extra midfielder. Sometimes they're the ones playing as a number 10. So that is the most interesting position right now. The evolution of what a right back is supposed to be in modern football is really interesting. Something that we've seen Hakimi as well. But Hakimi is a little different. Hakimi stays wide a bit more. But people like Cancelo and Trent, you see so many assists and goals that they do are from a number 10 position. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how that position is evolving. I think Di Lorenzo is part of that group of players that are transforming the right back position. If you see some of the screenshots, especially last year with Gattuso, to be honest, he is central a lot of the time. Next time you guys take a look at Di Lorenzo's position, you will see that he is central so many times. I think he needs to do more of that. I think he needs to get more involved. Today, he showed that if he is in the right position, he can score a goal. It was a great goal that he scored. And I think we need to use that a bit more. We need to put Di Lorenzo in a more attacking position because he has got the quality. Whereas Mario Rui, for example, he's trying to go up. I don't know if you guys noticed this year, but he's trying to go up much further. But then he's not got the quality to pick out the right pass. He's not got the quality to have the right shot, to score, to even hit the target. Whereas Di Lorenzo, every time he's in the box, you feel like this is a good chance for Napoli. So, very interesting evolution of football. It's interesting how that works. A lot of people think football is static. A lot of people think just because, people think even Napoli's formation now we're changing topic, but even Napoli's formation of 4-2-3-1, what does that actually mean? How often do we actually see the players in a 4-2-3-1? We defend in a 4-4-2. We attack, and it's not a 4-2-3-1 when we attack. So what does it mean that we have a 4-2-3-1? How can it be a 4-2-3-1 if Di Lorenzo's playing midfield? If we attack with a 3-2-4-1, for example. So, yeah. It's interesting. And I'm sure there might be some other YouTube channels that are focusing more on tactics in general. If you guys are interested in that, I don't know who might be talking about that, but it is interesting. It's one of those things that I like to see when I watch games. The fullback position. Lorenzo is saying it's called the inverted fullback, the scientific term for the modern fullback. Anyways, interesting discussion there, guys. I will end the video though. We have been speaking for over an hour. That seemed to fly past. If you're still watching and haven't yet smashed the like button, then smash the like button, especially if you've tuned in for the full hour. And guys, there is a break. We will be back for Inter in 2 weeks' time. In between, I'm not going to go live with anything, but I hope to bring you a nice video. If I don't, then I don't. But I really do hope that I do. That is everything from me. I'm not going to spoil what kind of video I'm trying to do, but I do hope I can deliver it within the next 2 weeks. Anyways, guys, that is everything from me. I hope you guys have a great Sunday, a great 2 weeks if I don't, chat with you before the Inter game. And as always, Forza Napoli sempre.